Very pink morning today, and it's glorious. Here you can see pink primroses taking over the potager, and I let them do this. I let them grow in the cracks and the paths and the sidewalks and all along the beds because they're just too beautiful to refuse. And people have a tendency, all of us do it, we complain when a plant becomes invasive, when they're just doing the job they were meant to do. These beautiful little flowers take their job seriously. And how could I possibly clear the paths of these until they've done that beautiful blooming? So I think I'll pick a lot of these today, put them in a vase, or let them finish their bloom, and then I will trim the pathways and cut them down. But for now, I just think they're glorious. And look at my green peas going all the way past the trellis. I don't think I made it tall enough. Wow, that's exciting. So this garden is a little bit nuts, but this garden always is a little bit nuts. But it's full of life, and it's absolutely a wild and crazy potager. And we will call this garden number 1. There are simply piles of work to do in here and all the other gardens. And that's what I'm going to be filming today. I'm going to walk around and show you the many, many different gardens that I have to work with. And because I'm just one person, sometimes they go by the wayside and they don't look so great. And others keep pretty well manicured and productive. This potager, as soon as I am ready to transplant all these dahlia roots and the coneflowers and the phloxes that I had put in the pots, they'll be ready to go into other gardens, and that will clear out this one quite a bit, make it look quite much better. So we will tiptoe through this sea of pink, and I will show you the good, the bad, and the ugly of what's going on in the gardens today. At least this will be part 1. There are so many gardens that probably won't get to part 2. We'll try to make our way through the potager first. This is the Zebrina hollyhock. They just grow in the sidewalks as well. They reseed themselves, and so I just let them grow wherever they want to. There's chamomile in here and oregano, but you'd never know it because it's such a mess. I still have tomato plants that need to go in, and there's still bees, but this elephant garlic is looking good. This is a batch of sweet peas. Now I'm letting these sweet peas, see, they're doing really well. I think this was a great location because it's kind of cool and shady up here against the house. The tulips bloomed here first, but they're about ready to be pulled up. Don't pull your tulips up. I know it's unsightly, but wait until the leaves turn yellow, because that's what feeds the bulb for next year's production, and your daffodils as well. So I know they look ugly at this point, but try to avoid pulling them up. Sorry. Now, this rose bush has just been so disappointing this year. It's got some kind of disease. I think it's recuperating right now. But look at the black leaf, black spot on the leaves. I mean, it's just terrible. I'm surprised that they bloomed, and usually they bloom about 10 times more than this. So this poor thing. But it gave me the opportunity to use it for the peas to climb. So I'm just going to let the sweet peas go ahead and climb up all these rose stems. And I think that'll be quite lovely. I think I have finally figured out the art of the pea. And these are the magnolia snap peas and the green beauty peas. These are the edible peas. And so far they've given me quite a few peas for my salads, and they've been Oh, so beautiful. Just look at how lovely they are. Just think peas are marvelous. And then the tulips also bloomed in this raised bed, but now the poppies are coming up full speed ahead. My blueberry bush is pathetic, as usual. Terribly pathetic. One of these days I will learn how to grow a proper blueberry. Oh, and here we have it again. A beautiful sea of pink. The strawberries have been remarkable this year so far. I have picked so many, and I think I will attribute that to the fact that I really thinned these out last year, and I really split them apart, and just it made them so much more prolific. So I'm just crazy about the strawberry bed. It turned out really well. Oh, look at the fava beans. Aren't they great? You open up a fava bean, it is so pretty inside. We'll make a salad with it today. Okay, I'm going to maneuver my way through here. As we leave the potager and go to our left, we'll be taking that little path all along the potager to some other gardens. But in the meantime, right across from the potager is the Beatrix powder patch right there. And I don't actually have a name for this garden at the moment, but let me go over and show it to you. So this garden is adjacent to the Beatrix powder patch, and I'm repeating the theme colors, which would be the pinks, the purples, and the lilacs. This garden just needed a lot of ramping up in the soil. It was just a horrible mess, but it does have astilbes and ground roses and scabiosa and irises, but I'm preparing the ground for a lot of the dahlias to put those in here. So this, as I said, is adjacent to the Beatrix powder patch. And right there, I guess you could call this the chicken perch and the peacock perch, one of many. Then we have another little walkway here. We like our walkways. Moving along the potager, there's a plum tree, and you can see the absolute takeover of the pink primrose once again from another angle. This is an American Beauty climbing rose, which I thought was developing the same black spot as the rose against the window over there, but it's reviving and looking a lot better now, I think. It'll have a lot of beautiful blooms along this white picket fence. White picket fences are so all-American, and it's just something I always had to have when thinking about having a garden throughout my life. I didn't always have a garden like this. I didn't always have an acreage like this. Once upon a time, when I was a young woman, I lived in an apartment, but in order to get my fingers in the dirt, I had lots of little terrariums all over my apartment. I had terrariums, and I even had canaries and finches and parakeets. So I had my birds and I had my gardens, so you don't have to have a huge space to have a garden. If you want a big garden one day, I hope that you will have it. It was always a dream of mine, and it's just a goal that we worked toward, and now I've got so many gardens I don't know what to do. But oh, what a joy. So here we are in another section. Another garden, and another work mess. The messes are all over, but that's just because I'm in the middle of so many projects right now. Adjacent to the potager and right across the path there, underneath the arbor, this is called the peacock patch. And I just rejuvenated this garden. I did a lot to this garden. I pulled a lot of plants up that I didn't want anymore and added a lot of new things and some seeds. This is the peacock patch because of the perch right here, which is for the peacocks. And when all four of them are sitting there looking over their domain. It's very beautiful, and I needed something to compete with them, something that wouldn't make them feel so vain. So this garden is full of blues and purples and yellow. So it's a very vibrant, contrasting garden. Let me tell you what's in here. Black-eyed Susan, also known as Rudbeckia. Yellow wallflowers. We put some purple liatris. There's blue love in a mist in the corner. There is a spirea back there, which is a purple. Purple coneflowers are in here. The Rose of Sharon has lavender flowers. Let's see. Oh, yellow yarrow is all dispersed throughout here. More love in a mist. You can see they're all young plants. I just put most of them in. Most of them were from the little greenhouses. Hollyhocks, black hollyhocks. Purple Dame's Rocket. And, oh, wow, I'm so excited about this. That looks like a big old dandelion, doesn't it? But it's not. That is an Echinops retro, a blue globe thistle. So those little blue globes are going to be wonderful, and there are 5 of those plants in here. Then there's a purple butterfly bush and more rudbeckia. And then this rather tall, dark green foliage here produces a plant we only know as southern daisies, and they grow real tall, 6-7 feet tall, and they produce clusters of bright yellow flowers. So I'm hoping for a real vibrant and beautiful showing here. This is a real summer garden here, and that's when it looks its best. But right now it's barricaded, of course, and you know why. This beautiful little tree is a weeping mulberry tree, and I just love this tree. It doesn't get much taller than that, and it will take those branches all the way down, weeping to the ground. We don't normally let it get more than a foot from the ground, but it makes a nice shady area for the ducks and the geese in the summer. Now we're heading into the front yard garden, which starts out with, the first thing I ever put in here was this raised bed, which turned out to be a frog pond. In the middle of all the daylilies, there's a little frog pond. This section has always been a bit of a headache. It's just so dry here that the only thing that basically wants to grow here are cosmos, and that's what I put here last year. Little dwarf yellow cosmos, lemon yellow, and they were very nice. They were very pretty. Bulbs grow here in the spring, but after that, it's nothing. So I decided what better place than to put 10 little lavender plants. I need a couple more to fill in the background here. And I had to yank up all my lavenders along the walkway because they had just lived their life and they were done. 7 years old they were. So we're trying these Grosso Lavandula, and I'm hoping that they will be wonderful. But interspersed amongst them, I'm still sprinkling the dwarf lemon cosmos seed, and I could see a couple of them coming up already. So that's very good news. I fixed up this soil by mixing the clay, which is what it was, with a lot of sand and a lot of compost, and that will give good drainage to my lavender plants here. And then on the second tier of this planter, you saw me rejuvenate this bed last year. This was completely cleared out in a video late last year, and I had purchased at about 75% off some perennial bellflowers here, and every single one of them has come back. And interspersed amongst that, I put Canterbury bells. This is a pretty nice area. It does not stay as dry as that upper area. The soil is just better. And it's just another little microclimate. So here we have along the walkway, nothing but Canterbury bells. A few strawberries are in there, and these beautiful blue bellflowers. So keeping again with the theme of blue along this border. Should be very nice. And the garden that I'm working on right now is basically the front yard garden, and it is got so much work needed in here. As you can see, wow, it's just wild and insane. The problem being the honeysuckle, periwinkle, all sorts of vines have come in here. I've just got to clean this garden out. I mean, there are a lot of great plants in here and a lot of great bushes. There's a chaste bush and a crepe myrtle and 2 rows of sharon and a beautyberry bush, and that thing, I don't know what it is, that has to go. But there's clover and grass and all sorts of other things. Ooh, here's a little rose of sharon that crept in. I can move that. But I have started to clean it. As you can see here, the beautiful yellow primroses are growing. The Queen Anne's lace, which I absolutely welcome to my garden. I know many do not want it. But this is a weird garden because it's full of our native plants, such as the Queen Anne's lace and Joe Pye and Dame's Rocket. But it's also full of more of the tame plants, such as the sedum and the dahlias. Rose of Sharon. I just love Rose of Sharon. I think they're fantastic. Climbing roses in the back. And the honeysuckle, which tends tendency to really get on my nerves. Love to view the garden from different angles and perspectives. You can really see how your garden has evolved over the years. Now, this was not a garden plan that I drew out one day and just sat there and planned every single garden. This garden just grew bit by bit, starting with a tiny little herb garden off the porch, and then the raised bed off the front porch, and then I took out all the grass on the very front of the house and made a front yard garden. So everything has just grown and changed bit by bit. It's just not something that we did all at once. It's just so lovely to see when you're standing in one spot that you can actually see 3 or 4 different gardens, where they begin, where they end, and yet nevertheless they all sort of flow together. So the jumping off point for my gardens started with the front porch, where I just built gardens off the porch, or you can do that off the side of your house. So all around the front porch became a new garden. And then all around the garden became a path. And then on the other side of the path, a new garden sprang up. And before you know it, there were gardens surrounding the entire house and beyond. Thus far, I've shown you 4 separate gardens. They're separate and distinct gardens, each with a personality and a look of its own. We started with the potager. Then we went to the Beatrix Potter patch, which is also extended along the other side of the little brick walkway. And then we went over here to the peacock patch. The next garden was the frog pond garden, right off the front porch in the front yard. And it's a 2-tiered garden with lavender plants on the top tier. And on the lower tier of the frog pond, we have the Canterbury bells and the bellflowers, the blues and the purples and the whites. And this is a separate and distinct garden here. And then across the walkway we have the front yard garden. Right off the front steps, once again, is the frog pond garden with the upper level and the lower level. And then across from that, the front yard garden, which has taken over all the grass, which at this point needs a lot of TLC, and that's the one I'm working on this week. But the path goes on and on and on and on, all the way around the house, and there are several different gardens on the other side of the house. So I want to stop here with the gardens, and we'll continue in the next video, because there are still, let's see, 8 more gardens to show you. And wow, I think this is enough for now. In fact, I am absolutely ready to have some tea. fava beans on that pillowy cushion in there. They're really good in your salad. And with some sugar snap peas. And little green raw peas. Now you can use arugula leaves, or if it goes to bolt, in other words if it goes to seeds, it doesn't matter. The seed heads and the flowers are even more peppery than the leaves, and they're excellent in your salad. So not only can you use the leaves from the arugula, but you can also use the blossoms and the seed heads. And this is fresh cilantro from the garden. Nasturtium leaves from the garden. We don't have any nasturtium flowers yet, but the leaves add a little color to the salad, and they're also very peppery and flavorful. Fresh strawberries. Well, it's been a really long day, and it's actually 7 o'clock in the evening right now. And James and I have both been working out here all day long. He's been power washing all the walkways in the courtyard and the brick walkways and the bridge, everything. And I've been out here doing a lot of gardening and filming as well. So we would love to have chicken and dumplings for dinner because that would be a nice hearty meal. But who wants to cook when you're this tired? So everything came out of the garden except for the croissants. And we're going to be eating very French this evening because we have a wonderful new tea, and it is French. First time I've shown a French tea. So, excuse my poor French. Mariage Freres. And this was sent to me by my wonderful daughter-in-law, who sends me just the best things. And I learned a little bit about this company. Tried this tea before. This is Marco Polo, and this company was founded by two brothers, Henry and Edouard Mariage, in 1854 in Paris, France. I'll try to read the tin in French, but I'll probably make a mockery of it. Forgive me. Mariage de noix, gui, fruits, et fleuris. Oh, that was terrible. I think I'll read it in English. Marvelous, fruity, and flowery black tea. Yeah, that's better. It really is good. And I looked up the company online, and it looks like a wonderful place to visit if you love tea. The brothers who founded the tea company, Henry and Edouard, in 1854, wanted a unique French tradition that they refer to as the art of tea, blending teas of quality and beauty. Apparently, the store is still open to this day, and you can visit it in Paris. Henry Mariage said that the fragrance of adventure and poetry endlessly pervades each cup of tea. This is very good. This is very flavorful. I'm imagining that it is rather on the high side as far as price-wise, but as I said, this was a gift from my daughter-in-law, and bless her heart, she spares no expense when it comes to her mother-in-law, so she's very sweet. They have a website, so if you want to check out their tea, among their other items that they have for sale, all sorts of delicious gourmet delights, you might want to give that a try and see if you want to try out this tea. We have several different cans of this tea of different varieties, so we will be having it again, along with some of the other gourmet things that go with it. I love it when the flower petals fall onto the table from the flowers. I just leave them there because I just think they're very pretty. And if I thought I could put those in my salad and eat them, I would. I'm just not sure if you can eat peony petals. So as you look at the table, you may wonder, can you have too many vases of flowers on your table? Can you have too many bouquets on the table? Well, I don't think so. As long as you have room for the food, Put as many flowers on the table as you like. And since we have such an abundance of pink flowers right now, I just wanted to use them in a beautiful way. So the pink peonies there in the back came from a garden I didn't show you today, but aren't they just incredible? And I actually have sweet peas here. As you can see, I finally got my little sweet peas. I just have a little handful so far, but they smell marvelous, and the more you pick them, the more they produce more and more blooms. And then, of course, I got all these primroses from the sidewalks, and I've got some lovely little peachy-colored roses here. They're ground roses, and the Queen Anne's lace from the front garden. So, can you have too many flowers on your table? Well, not at all. Can you have too many gardens? Well, that just depends. I have 13 gardens. We just barely touched the surface today. And they're not all perfect, and they never will be. But I'm not sorry that I put any of them in, although it does cause me a lot of work. A lot of work. And sometimes some of them just don't look very good. But I don't think I would get rid of any of them. Look here. Here's Mr. Peabody sitting on his peacock perch right off the porch, right in front of his garden. And it's evening time, and he's probably getting ready to fly up onto the roof, which is where he likes to sleep. And it's getting a little darker out, so I think I will finish this lovely light meal and call it a day. And the next time we're in the garden, so sorry that it's taken me so long to get to a video, but as I explained in the community post, I had several orders to fill and a show to do. We finally had a show this year. So it's been a very, very hectic month, but honestly, I'll try better to have more frequent videos. And I think what we'll do, I think what we'll do in the next video is just work on that garden. And I also want to show you a project that I've been working on, which has everything to do with art and gardens. Until then, from Hopalong Hollow, this is Jerry, and we'll see you next time.